You come back. You've been gone maybe an hour, maybe a day, and the moment your baby sees you, really sees you, they fall apart. Not the soft whimpering of discomfort, not the mechanical cry of hunger, something rawer, something that almost looks like grief. Most people assume the baby is happy to see them, that the crying is just an overflow of relief and they move on. But researchers who've spent decades watching this exact moment, frame by frame, heart rate monitor attached, cortisol levels tracked, have come to a very different conclusion. What's happening in that baby's nervous system in the seconds after reunion is not simple. It is in some ways one of the most psychologically sophisticated things a human being ever does, and almost no one recognizes it for what it is. The common explanation goes like this. The baby missed you, they're upset you left, and now they're expressing that upset. It's emotional release. It makes intuitive sense. You leave, they feel bad. You return, they cry it out. Most parenting content stops exactly there. The crying is treated as a leftover reaction, the tail end of separation distress slowly unwinding now that the threat, your absence, has passed. This explanation sounds right, it fits the sequence of events, it matches what we'd expect from a small, emotionally immature brain that can't yet regulate itself. Until you look at what the brain is actually doing in that moment, and then the story changes entirely. Infant neuroscience has made a quiet revolution over the last 30 years. What we now know is that even in the first months of life, the human brain is not passively experiencing the world, it is predicting it. The brain, at every age, including infancy, operates primarily as a prediction machine. It builds internal models of what is supposed to happen, and when reality deviates from that model, the system responds. Not with emotion first, with a recalibration signal. The amygdala, which processes threat and emotional salience, is active early in development, but so is the early circuitry involved in what researchers call social prediction, the brain's attempt to anticipate where caregivers will be, what they will do, and when they will return. By around 6 to 8 months, infants have developed what developmental psychologists call object permanence, the understanding that things continue to exist even when they're out of sight. A parent who leaves is not gone, they are somewhere, and the brain keeps a model of that. When you return, something specific happens. The model the baby's brain has been running, an internal simulation of you, your absence, the uncertain timeline of return, suddenly collides with your actual presence, and that collision is not seamless. It is a recalibration. The nervous system has been in a low-grade state of alert, tracking your absence, and now it must rapidly shift gears. That shift has a physiological signature, and that signature in infants looks like crying. This is where it gets strange. A 2012 study examining infant cortisol levels, cortisol being the primary stress hormone, found something unexpected. Babies who appeared calm during separation often showed elevated cortisol, and babies who cried openly during and after reunion sometimes showed a faster cortisol recovery. The visible distress was not simply evidence of more suffering, it was, in some cases, evidence of more active processing. The crying wasn't the problem, it was part of the solution. What researchers began to understand is that the crying upon reunion serves a function that has nothing to do with punishing you for leaving and everything to do with reestablishing a neurological baseline. The baby's system needs to confirm that the person now present is fully, reliably, responsively there. The cry is, in a sense, a probe. It's the nervous system running a test. Are you really back? Are you attuned? Will you respond the way my model predicts you will? And when you do respond, when you hold them, make eye contact, speak softly, the system settles, not because the emotion is suppressed, because the prediction is confirmed. This connects directly to one of the most studied frameworks in developmental psychology, attachment theory, but not in the way it's usually presented. The common version focuses on security and bonding as emotional concepts. The deeper version, the one that emerges from neuroscience, treats attachment as a regulatory system. The caregiver is not just a source of love. The caregiver is a co-regulator of the infant's nervous system. When a primary caregiver is absent, the infant's autonomic system drifts, heart rate variability changes, cortisol rises, the prefrontal areas involved in calm processing become less active. The system is not in crisis, but it is running in a different mode, a less settled mode. And when the caregiver returns, the process of returning to baseline is not instantaneous. It requires contact, attunement, and critically, time. The crying is part of that transition. It's the biological mechanism by which the system signals, I need you to be fully present right now, not in 30 seconds, now. But that's not the real reason this behavior is so psychologically remarkable. What makes it extraordinary is what it reveals about the infant's internal world. To cry when someone returns, specifically because they returned, requires something subtle and sophisticated. It requires that the baby has been holding something, not consciously, but neurologically. The emotional weight of the absence is stored somehow, suspended while the baby manages without you, and your return doesn't erase it, it releases it. Researchers studying this have used the phrase protest upon reunion to describe a pattern they see across many securely attached infants. The protest is not a sign of damaged attachment. In many cases, it is a sign of deep attachment. The infant feels safe enough in the presence of the returning caregiver to finally let the experience of absence become visible. They couldn't afford to fall apart while you were gone. Now that you're back, they can. There is something in that that extends far beyond infancy. This doesn't mean something is wrong. It doesn't mean the separation caused harm or that the baby is traumatized or that the reunion is failing. It simply suggests that the nervous system has its own timeline, and that timeline is not always synchronized with the external events that trigger it. The reframe here is quiet but significant. We tend to evaluate infant behavior in terms of what it tells us about the immediate moment. Happy means things are fine. Crying means something is wrong. But the nervous system doesn't work in present tense only. It processes across time. The crying after reunion is in some ways the first evidence we have, visible from the outside, that a baby is not just reacting to the world, they are processing it, storing it, and communicating about something that already happened. That is not primitive. That is the foundation of every emotionally complex behavior humans will ever perform. There is also something worth noting that most people overlook. The quality of what happens after the crying matters more than the crying itself. Studies on caregiver responsiveness consistently find that it is not the absence of distress that predicts healthy emotional development, it is the pattern of rupture and repair. The separation is the rupture. The reunion, when handled with attunement and patience, is the repair. And infants who experience that cycle repeatedly, who learn that distress is responded to, that absence is followed by return, that crying produces connection rather than withdrawal, build something neurologically durable. They build a working model of the world as a place where needs can be communicated, where relationships can survive difficulty, where it is safe to feel things fully because someone will be there when you do. The baby crying when you walk back through the door is not reacting to you, they are reporting to you. They are saying in the only language available to them, something happened while you were gone, and now that you're here, I can finally tell you about it. Most people pick the baby up, shush the crying, and move on, and that's fine, that's the repair. But somewhere in that moment, in that small, specific exchange between a returning person and a distressed infant, is a blueprint for something humans spend the rest of their lives trying to replicate. The ability to be fully present with someone's experience of your absence, the willingness to be the one who stays after the leaving. It starts here, in this room, with this cry.